What's up, everybody? Welcome to Among the Fence. My name is Aaron. Today we're checking out the new album Zenith by Bleed From Within. This is the 7th studio album from the British metalcore band, and believe it or not, they've been around for a very long time. This release also marks their 20th year as a band, and their first 5 albums are metalcore and even kind of melodic deathcore classics. Their 2020 release, Fracture, is my personal favorite. It starts off with a ton of energy, dynamic riffs, vocals that are right in your face, and it never lets up. They never take their foot off the gas throughout the entire album. It's just 40 minutes of raw grooves. And this is where people are probably going to click off this video or call me an idiot, because I feel like everything that made Fracture great was kind of numbed down 2 years later when they released Shrine. And I know everybody loves Shrine. And don't get me wrong, I don't think about it negatively at all. When I did a review on it, I gave it an 8.8 out of 10. But compared to Fracture, I gave that one a 9.3 out of 10. It just doesn't really stand out quite the same in the genre, at least to my ears. Shrine felt a little bit too much like All of Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. A beautiful album, but it's something that had been copied so much. Every band has their All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us album, and for Shrine to come out with theirs 6 years after that album came out, it just feels like it's not really anything new. Now that I made my case, and if you're still here, thank you for realizing that this is just my silly opinion, and if you love Shrine, then I'm all for it. I'm not trying to convince you not to like it, but it's also why I was a little unsure about how Zenith would turn out. I did get a little bit of relief though when they released their first single titled Hands of Sin featuring Silosis. The verses are drum forward in a really good way, and the riff has tons of gallops in it. The pre-chorus sounds good. I didn't really care that much for the chorus though. It's just a little too mainstream sounding for me. The octaves and the breakdown are just so nasty, and it didn't help me forget that I didn't like the chorus that much. The second single they released, In Place of Your Halo, gets a little bit better with the traditional Bleed From Within riff that's got tons of gallops. It reminds me of something that they would have written off of their album Era, and this time the chorus does hit pretty hard. It's super stompy, has big chords, the verses keep you headbanging between, and bagpipes, I believe, come into the bridge, and it just sounds so freaking sick. A Hope in Hell follows the same kind of All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us vibe. I'm sure it has a lot of hype, but to me it was just okay. Verse 2 has a solid riff, but the metalcore tropes go really hard. The echoey guitar, the cliche chorus about falling down. I mean, it's not a bad song. It's just out of all the singles, this is the most single-sounding single that we got. And then we have the last single they released, God Complex. And I do like this one. It redeems itself a little bit. It has a really stompy groove that I enjoyed. It has a strong Slipknot quality. I think it's the mixture between the riffs, the vocals, and the haze that get chanted throughout the entire song. The bridge is pretty sick though. The chorus is kind of silly. It doesn't really add anything to the song, but it does give it a decent hook. But if you start off with the opening track, Violent Nature, you get a completely different story. The guitar is dynamic, and the verses and the drums sound so good thanks to the mix. The chorus is addictive because of its stop and go rhythm, with the vocals filling all of the empty spaces. And the way the guitar comes back in verse 2 is fantastic, and the outro is just wild. If you haven't heard the singles yet, I feel like this is probably like the best place to start, obviously. I mean, the opening track. But yeah, definitely start off with just the opening track, because this is going to tell more about the album than anything else. And then we have the title track song, Zenith. Reminds me a lot of something that Trivium would write, from the colorful intro and the riffs and the verses that make you want to mosh around your bedroom. The pre-chorus builds up into a soaring chorus that you would never expect. It's a crazy ride. It really keeps you on your toes, and I love the breakdown with the female vocals in the background. It gives me goosebumps every single time. All of the deep cuts in this album are just so freaking good. Dying Sun is the longest song on this album, coming in at about 5.5 minutes. It's also pretty epic too, with its intro that takes up about 1.5 minutes before the main riff comes in. The synth kind of adds a little bit of an industrial quality to the song. The chorus is good imagery, but to me, the riff and the pre-chorus is what steals the show. The interlude kind of outro thing shows us off for like the last 1.5 minutes of this song. It's so simple, but it works so well, and it just sounds so good. Then we have Immortal Desire, which catches you off guard with the choir. In the intro, it's bold, but to me it works, and it just sounds really good. It's the same kind of sound that we have in A Hope in Hell, the single, but it's so different. Brand Daler is featured in the chorus, and it just sounds so great. It's a nice change of pace. Like, the vocals in this, you don't realize how just harsh the vocals are throughout this entire thing. So when you have a feature that kind of mix it up, it just works, especially about the halfway point, a little bit over halfway point in this album. To me, this song feels like a lot more creativity went into it than in A Hope in Hell. Of course, you know, it's a deep cut, so it's going to be a little bit different. The choir and just this overall songwriting just sounds so good. And also like the Middle Eastern melody that's played throughout it sounds really good as well. I feel like this song is just pieced together a lot better. Chained to Hate is more of a straightforward metal jam. It kind of reminds me of something that would be off of Fracture, but a little less dynamic. The random guitar solos that pop up here and there break up the prominent rhythm. Lyrically, it's kind of basic, but the hook in the chorus is not that bad. I did actually like it. The outro is the best part thanks to the riff. To me, this isn't really that, it's not like a bad song, but it just kind of felt like filler, especially this late in the album. And then we have Known by No Name, which brings it all back around, though, wins you back over. The verse is super intense, and there's more choir in the background, and the drums just absolutely go off. To me, the drums are pretty good throughout this entire album, but this song really shows off how good they are. The chorus is fantastic. Again, with the choir this time, they're more out in front of the mix. I actually really like the lyrics and the message in this song. I believe it's about how people in power can kind of look down on people who they view as being expendable. A lot of governments and a lot of people in power viewed this way, and a lot of people who are, you know, not in power feel like they are expendable, and they do a really good job at getting that message across. And then we have the closing track, Edge of Infinity, which is one of my favorite songs off of this album. It has a beautiful acoustic guitar intro with the lead melody in the background. The clean vocals sound so good, and this tricks you into thinking that it's going to be a slow song, which is kind of what they do, you know, metalcore stuff. Once you get to the final track, you're either going to get something that's just all in on being heavy, or it's going to be slow and very melodramatic, dare I say. But then once you get to verse 2, it is one of the most in-your-face moments in this entire album. It definitely feels like a solid climax to this album, and it helps it to really close it out and make it feel like it's completed. I enjoyed this album quite a bit more than I thought I would, given the singles. Normally, if I hear a single and I don't like it, and I hear it in the context of the entire album, it changes my view on it, and that honestly didn't really happen here. I still felt like they were pretty generic. They didn't really change the context of the album or really like bring me into the theme of the album that much more. They just kind of felt like they were singles placed within an album. Shrine to me was better. This is still pretty consistent. Honestly, it's not a bad album by any means. There just weren't really that many memorable moments for me to really feel the need to go back to and listen to, even just for pleasure. I listened to this album 3 times during this review, and after that, you know, it felt like enough. I felt like I was done. So yeah, because of that, I gotta give Zenith by Bleed From Within a 7.2 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I have a feeling that most people are probably going to like this album, probably just as much as they do Shrine, because it does have the same kind of vibe and feel to it. It's just, yeah, to me, the singles were lacking. And because they were a quarter pretty much of this album, it wasn't really there for me. So yeah, leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Zenith, what you would rate it, what your favorite song is. Also, if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to see more of my reviews, I got tons of them coming. So please feel free to subscribe and ring the bell icon. That way YouTube will notify you. And also, if you give this video a like, it lets YouTube know that you enjoyed this video, and it'll keep recommending my videos to you. So even if you don't subscribe and you don't ring the bell icon, don't get notifications, just doing that will help the algorithm. It'll help me out to push me out to more people who enjoy stuff like this, not even just yourself, but also people who, you know, if you like this and somebody else likes another video that you liked, and it'll kind of link us up. So yeah, it just helps out a lot with the algorithm if you just give this video a like. I appreciate it more than you guys could ever imagine. I appreciate you more than you could ever imagine. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me sit here and talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you happen to be watching this, and I will talk to you guys next time.